Hi, I'm Wade,
Hey, and I'm Shea.
and welcome to Wade and Shea.
Yeah, it's one place where we don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. And I tell you, we have stories.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, Shea. So what do we got on the go today?
Well, I was just thinking of some of the things that we shared um, over the last bit, and I've had a lot of fun doing them, and we've gotten some comments from family and friends, and that's been a lot of fun. I thought one time didn't we talk about the time that um, I found a kayak in the river with my son. Didn't we ever tell that story?
Oh yeah, we did, but we didn't
I
have. I don't have it on video.
well, I don't know if we even recorded it.
Maybe we didn't.
Well, yeah. Why don't we? Do you want to talk about that? Unless you had something, you can share your thoughts if you had something burning.
No, no. Let's go.
So,
Let's go with that, man.
oh yeah. Well, like I said, this might be a duplicate of something we've said before, but I remember this one time um, we're in northern Saskatchewan in a river. I guess it's on the west side of Saskatchewan, just right near the Alberta border. And there's a river there called the Waterhen. And in this Waterhen, it's fun because it has rapids, and so for it's a great little river to go down for um, white water canoeing, right?
Yeah,
A lot of paddling. I mean, it has a few little rapids. It's got a little chute that you go through. It's pretty fun, and there's little spots where you can get out, so you don't have to go down the whole river. Like you can go. I've taken all of my kids 4 days down this river, camping along the way. However, but there is a spot where you can just go down the rapids and then get out, and that takes about in about 2 hours you're done, and it's good fun. Anyhow, I was taking some scouts down this river, and I was the sweeper, so I just followed behind the other canoes and just to make sure all the young boys that were with us made it down safely, that no one got hung up. And I had my son with me. He wasn't old enough to be a scout, but he was as big as a scout. He was a big boy, and he
yeah.
looked like a scout. So I just said, "Well, come along," and I had him in the front of my canoe. And so, yeah, it was the last run. We'd gone down maybe twice already. No, not twice. We'd gone down twice the day before. This is the first time we'd gone down this day. And yeah, so we go down. Um, we're about halfway through the trip, and we go down this little set of rapids. And I saw something, and it was something blue that was under was kind of in the rocks. And so I got down and I pulled the canoe to the side, and I said to my son, I said, I think I think there's a kayak stuck in the rocks. And so my son and we turn around, and we have to, my poor boy, he was only like 11, and we're tacking back up the river, which is not easy because it's flowing against you, right? And so we're just paddling, and so we had to go back up, about, I don't know, but at about 30, 40 yards, we went back up, and sure enough, I see it now. And the water is just pouring over this kayak that's upside down. And of course, you can imagine what was going through my head because I hadn't seen it,
Yeah,
right? I hadn't
yeah.
seen it. I didn't see it the previous day. And I was like, oh no. I was like, I was scared of a couple things. But I think the number one thing I was scared of was uh was like screaming like a little girl in front of my son. If when I flipped this canoe over and there was a body in it. And I was terrified. I said, oh no. Anyhow, so I get out of the canoe, and I get up through the rocks, and I get to this kayak, and I get around to the far side of it, and there's nobody in it. Thank
Hmm.
goodness. Um, it's a two-seater kayak, and the river is flowing into the seats. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just pop this out of here. Well, I tried. I couldn't budge it. I had my son come out, and and he tried. And between the two of us, we could not. There was so much weight driving into the in of the movement of the river, pushing into those seats. It was pinned against the rocks. There was no way we're going to get this out. Anyhow,
Yeah.
so we tried a few things. I went and got some sticks and I tried to pry it out, and I'd snap these sticks trying to get this thing out. And I was about ready to give up. I was like, oh well, I guess we're not gonna save this kayak today and be able to get
So
it
wait,
back
so
to.
wait a second. You're telling me that your 11-year-old son couldn't lift that up?
No, we could. I, we tried. We
Yeah.
tried. We tried to get this thing out, but here, this is the funny part is that of course, I'm trying all these different things. I'm exhausted, and my son goes to me. He goes, Dad, this log that it's pinned up against goes out to the middle of the river. He says, why don't we go to the end of the log and lift it out in the river? And I
Mm.
look at it and I'm like, that's pretty smart. Of course, I didn't say that out loud.
No, of course not.
I was like, I was like, yeah, yeah, maybe I'll try that later, right? Well,
Yeah.
sure enough,
Yeah, that's not.
of course, I scooch out into the middle of this river, flowing water, holding onto this tree, and I'm at the very end of it. We're just narrow little tree, and I give it a little lift, and poop, out pops the kayak. Stupid kid thinks he knows everything, right?
Yeah.
So out comes this kayak, and yeah, we rescued this kayak. We took it down the rest of the river with us. We played with it a bit. It was fun. We let the scouts play in it a bit, and then we tried to find the owner because there was a campsite farther up, and so we'd gone and seen if we could find, but no one ever claimed it.
Yeah.
We tried to find who owned it, so we ended up with this nice two-seater Pelican kayak that that actually never used ever again. But
Yeah.
but what an experience! Like I just remember the
So you went
thoughts
home with
that
the kayak. You went home
we
with the
went,
kayak.
we went home with a kayak. Thank goodness there was no dead body, which was
Yeah.
which I was really terrified of finding. But what a great find and a lot of fun. Yeah. Did you ever go down that river? I think didn't you go
Oh yeah, we
down?
went to water. I think we all went down together,
Yeah,
the
you
scouts.
well you did, yes. When we were younger, we went down um all the way we would go all the way to Dorantosh. So that was 4 days that we would go. And yeah, it was what a fun adventure for
Yeah.
young men, eh?
I
Yeah.
remember I remember the rivers were always fun, but the lakes in between were not so fun. I remember that.
Yeah, where the water slowed down. I know,
Yeah.
I know, and then you're paddling for kilometers and kilometers, and
Yeah.
yeah, it
I
was it was
mean,
exhausting. We'd eventually make sails, right, out of tarps or whatever, and they'd pull
yeah.
us because if the wind was going in our favor. But
Yeah.
we had a lot of fun. It was fun on those trips, and
It was
you
a lot of
know,
fun. Yeah.
yeah, it was good. So yeah, that was kind of the story I wanted to tell about the kayak with no dead person in it.
Yeah.
Thank thank
Yeah.
goodness. So, but yeah, no, that was lucky. It could have been bad because we've had quite the adventures on there, and I've seen kayaks get folded. Not kayaks. Sorry, I've seen canoes get folded
Yeah.
right around rocks if they get sideways, and yeah, I one time even took my wife down, and we went through that chute, and yeah, and we swamped. Like,
Oh,
and my wife's not really an outdoorsman. She likes to camp, but she doesn't like outdoors. You know what I mean? Like she likes
yeah.
fires,
Yeah.
and she likes glamping. She likes to
Yeah.
glamp. And so I take her down there. I said, "Don't worry, we'll go down. We have a fun little canoe ride, a little bit of rapids." Anyhow, we swamped right in this chute.
Mm.
She doesn't swim well. She goes tumbling under the water, comes out, and she still reminds me how I almost killed her that day
Yeah.
going down, right? And so going down the river there. And so, but yeah, she's never gone again with me. So
No, no.
yeah,
She probably reminds you around that time of the year or two, eh? It's like, yeah, remember this date?
yeah, yeah. Perfect, perfect memory.
But that's pretty funny though,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah, you
it's
remember that?
like
You remember that time you left me to die in the river? I'm like, I didn't leave you to die. Like, it's like, I had to go, I had to go, I had to go get the canoe. I had to go get the paddles. You were standing on a rock. You were okay. Yeah, you left me to die. I'm like, no, I was just getting stuff. You're, we, we were gonna make it. Oh. Yeah,
see.
that's not the first time she said that I've left her to die. She one time we were in Mexico and we were snorkeling and like once again she doesn't swim well and so she was beside me and over time we slowly just swam apart from each other, right? And then she
Yeah.
was all alone. I was with someone else. I was following somebody. I don't know who, but I was with another group. She was all alone, and and she started screaming my name. I hear her and I swim over to her. She's like, "You left me all alone." She says, "I could have drowned." I'm like, "Stand up." She was she wasn't even in that deep of water. But I mean, I guess if you have a fear of drowning, eh, all water is
Yeah.
scary, right? And so
Yes.
yeah, she just stood up. She was up to her neck.
I'm sure. I'm sure that made it better by you just saying stand up.
Yeah, that no. And yeah, I get reminded often that's twice that I've left her to drown. One time in the river, one time in Mexico. I left my wife to drown. So,
Uh, Way to be, Shay. You got
yeah,
that's the trauma of your marriage right there, right?
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was
What
great.
do
It was
you?
great. It was great catching up with you, Wade, man. Have a good night. How are we gonna end this thing?
Well, probably just play some music and fade to black.
Sounds good to me.